transmigrated into a white spirit snake with no spirit root, and now I'm just chillin', up for sale in a pet shop. But then, the campus flower just glanced at me once, and against everyone's objections, demanded to sign a contract with me. Little did I know this campus flower Gu Qinghan was actually a reincarnator. In her previous life, she was the empress of a heavenly dynasty, but cultivating the path of beast taming made her miss her chance to level up. Just as she was about to fall in battle, she reincarnated back to her senior year of high school, given a second chance at life. She decided not to cultivate beast taming, but instead focused on cultivating her blood chi. Though I can't give you heavenly and earthly treasures, I'll raise you for your entire life, until the day you die. But what she didn't know was that I had awakened a God-Tier Devouring System, and as long as I kept eating, my blood chi would grow infinitely. Devouring precious items could even grant me mutations, letting me transform from a mere snake into a freaking dragon. You're all pure white. From now on, I'll call you Xiao Bai. Looking at the small white shrimp Gu Qinghan placed in front of me, to be honest, I was a little bit tempted. So I opened my mouth, bit into the shrimp meat, and began to devour it. At the exact same moment, an electronic voice rang out in my head. God-Tier Devouring System successfully bound. Congratulations, host, for devouring frozen shrimp meat. You have received 0.01 blood chi points. Congratulations, host, for completing your first devour. Initial evolution branch activated. Enhanced digestion. That sudden electronic voice made me go absolutely wild with joy. A system. It's really a system. I hastily checked the system's explanation and instantly understood its true power. Devouring flesh and blood or items containing spirit energy would grant me blood chi points. Devouring precious items would earn me evolution points and unlock evolution branches. In other words, all I had to do was eat, and I could evolve without limit. After that, a pale blue light screen slowly materialized before my eyes. However, every single stat on my basic attribute panel just screamed weakness. If I ran into a real exotic beast, I probably wouldn't even be enough for a tiny snack between its teeth. I absolutely had to stay low and grow. No way I could afford to be careless. I promptly opened my mouth towards Gu Qinghan again. Didn't the pet shop owner say to feed him once every 3 days? But why does he still look so hungry? Gu Qinghan stared dumbfounded at my wide-open mouth. Then she picked up another piece of shrimp meat and brought it to my face, just to test me. One continuous 9 pieces. Finally, I felt like I couldn't eat another bite. But hey, that translated to bro 9 blood chi points. At this rate, 3 meals a day, each adding 0.1. In just 3 days, my blood chi points would surpass 1. The more I thought about it, the more hyped I got. Gu Qinghan, however, had a hint of surprise in her eyes. Xiaobai seems a bit too fond of eating. Fortunately, it's just white shrimp. 10 yuan can buy a huge bag. If he wants to eat a lot, then let him eat. Gu Qinghan walked around the streets for a while before returning home. Living a second life, she was back in this familiar house. Though old, it was filled with warmth. Father, mother, rest assured. This time, I absolutely won't let the tragedy of my previous life befall our family. Just a few short words made me, who was originally a bit drowsy, snap out of it and wide-eyed. No way, big sis, you're a reincarnator? Seriously, 2 of us, 1 transmigrator, 1 reincarnator. We're practically a hidden dragon and crouching phoenix duo right here. What else could go wrong? I raised my head and stared at Gu Qinghan. Gu Qinghan also looked at me, then recounted, in my previous life, I awakened my beast-taming talent. I poured all my effort and money just to barely reach the entry-level beast-tamer stage. It wasn't until I was 40 that I switched to cultivating blood key martial arts, finally stepping into the earth realm and becoming the 8th peerless empress of the heavenly dynasty. Sadly, good times don't last. I ultimately fell in that battle. For some unknown reason, I reincarnated back to my 12th grade year, right when I was on my deathbed. This time, I won't walk the path of beast taming again. This contract with you is just to throw people off. I'll pour all my money and effort into blood key martial arts. As for you, even though I can't give you heavenly treasures to grow, I'll still provide for you your whole life, until you're ready to peace out for good. I never thought the school bell would personally tell me she'd provide for me for life. If it were before, I wouldn't hesitate to agree immediately. But right now my mind was a stampede of conflicting thoughts. Looks like I'm highly likely to be her sugar baby. Well, if that's the case, might as well just eat then. So I opened my mouth towards Gu Qinghan again. Gu Qinghan stared at my reaction, completely bewildered. She never thought she'd talk so much to a mere snake. Fine, if you're hungry, eat up. With that, she picked up a few more pieces of shrimp meat and placed them in front of me. Afterwards, she went back to watching TV. According to our station's reporter, recently in Linnan City, an exotic beast successfully broke through to the Beast King realm, its power skyrocketing, potentially causing serious damage to Linnan City's defensive line. Additionally, a reminder to all awakened ones hunting in Linnan City, Beast Kings can transform into human form. When hunting in the wilderness, beware of strangers. As the news played, my munching jaw involuntarily dropped. Beast Kings can go full human form? My heart was pounding, a mix of hype and confusion. Meanwhile, Gu Qinghan also started mumbling to the TV. This world divides exotic beasts into 9 ranks, corresponding to the 9 ranks of martial artists. For an exotic beast to break through to the Beast King rank, its blood key must be at least over 1 million. I looked at my own pathetic 0.2 blood key stat and was utterly speechless. At my current blood key growth rate, to reach 1 million blood key and transform into human form, I'd have to wait 10,000 years. Thinking about this, I suddenly felt a bit disappointed, but thankfully, I have the system backing me up. First, let's set a small goal, gobble my way to Beast King. So I once again buried my head in the shrimp meat. Just like that, 3 days passed, and I finally received the system's first evolution notification. The shrimp meat has officially completed its mission. If that's the case, there's no need to hesitate anymore. Time to evolve. Initiating first evolution. This evolution will last for 4 hours. Following the system's notification, my eyes immediately slammed shut and I fell into a deep sleep. When my consciousness returned, I was no longer on the living room coffee table but back in Guqing Han's room. My long coiling body was resting on a cushion, a full size bigger than it was 3 days ago. Even my length had grown to 30 centimeters. Guqing Han once again fed me shrimp meat. However, after swallowing a piece, the system showed no changes. Looks like shrimp meat can no longer provide blood key points. I immediately spat out the shrimp meat from my mouth. This sudden reaction made Guqing Han frown. She reflexively picked up the shrimp meat and sniffed it, but there was no strange smell. Could it be that you're sick of eating it? Guqing Han then took out a piece of bloody beef and placed it in front of me. Without a shred of hesitation, this guy gulped down that meat. Congratulations, host, you devoured fresh beef and gained 0.21 blood chi points. Turns out the blood chi from beef ain't even comparable to what some measly shrimp meat could offer. After silently watching this dude finish his meal, he then stared at her with hungry eyes. Guqing Han immediately understood the assignment. So she turned to her mom and told her to buy extra meat every time from now on, specifically for this little guy. Just like that, 6 peaceful days flew by with our boy consistently racking up 0.5 blood chi points daily. This dude's blood chi quickly hit a solid 10. Blood chi has reached the current limit. Please quickly unlock second evolution. Required conditions for second evolution. Currently missing 1 evolution point. Evolution points can only be obtained from rare items. But where in the cultivation world was this little snake supposed to find one right now, with his current strength and size? Heading out to the wilderness would just mean getting clapped by any random beast. More likely, he'd become an evolution point for someone else. Just then, our boy overheard Guqing Han saying goodbye to her mother. Turns out she got a notification from school. Today, the school was holding a practical combat class. All students in her class had to go to the simulated training ground to participate. Mom, don't wait for me to eat dinner. What truly surprised our MC, though, was Guqing Han picking him up and casually stuffing him into her school bag. Oh, turns out she was participating as a beast tamer, so she had to bring her spirit beast along. This dude's eyes immediately lit up like a Christmas tree. A practical combat class means there'd be exotic beasts. Bro, wasn't this his chance for a second evolution? The sliding door swooshed open. Guqing Han had arrived at the classroom. Before our boy could even react, a pair of gentle hands scooped him up and cradled him. Then a faint sweet maiden scent wafted right into his senses. Wow, Xiaobai has gotten so big in just over 10 days. And look how shiny his scales are. Sunyanshi, Guqing Han's best friend, just couldn't stop petting our MC. Yeah, I'm not really sure why he's growing so fast either, Guqing Han replied. Guqing Han then also gently placed her hand on him, stroking him, but added still, he's so tiny. If I took him into battle like this, he probably wouldn't even be enough for other exotic beasts to pick out of their teeth. Just as she was speaking, a low rumbling growl echoed in from outside the door. Everyone's eyes were immediately drawn to the entrance, where a blonde young master walked in, leading a lion whose fur was a fiery, brilliant reddish-brown. The young man surveyed the room, then let out a cold snort of utter disdain. The lion beside him also let out a low rumble that sounded like a supercharged V8 engine. Everyone in the room was so intimidated by this aura that they didn't dare to make a peep. Huang Shihu wore a smug, arrogant expression as he then strode towards Guqing Han and Sunyanshi. Guqing Han, check out this spirit beast, this pure-blooded blazing lion from the fire village. My dad shelled out 500,000 N just to snag it from the auction. Sunyanshi scoffed, a 500,000 dong spirit beast? Big deal. Couldn't you even afford one of those 1,000 yuan spirit beast pouches? And bringing a lion into the classroom? Didn't you notice you were scaring your classmates? Besides, you're just a measly beast trainer right now. Do you really need to act like this? Sunyangshi's words were sharp as a blade, showing absolutely no fear of respect for Huang Shihu. Huang Shihu shot Sunyanshi a disdainful glare, then his eyes flickered to the white spirit snake cradled in Guqing Han's arms. Is this your spirit beast? Didn't I tell you that your first spirit beast is the most crucial thing for a beast tamer? Why would you just haphazardly contract a random white spirit snake like that? If you couldn't find something fitting, you could have just said so. I could totally get my old man to hook you up with a better spirit beast. Guqing Han just shook her head, waved it off, then scooped me up and bounced out of the classroom, leaving Huang Shihui and his busted lion just standing there dumbfounded. At the simulation arena, after the homeroom teacher gave the usual safety spiel, everyone grabbed their gear and weapons, then stepped inside. Looking around, it wasn't much different from any old forest, but the deeper they went, the squad started splitting up. Sunangshi, who usually fears neither heaven nor earth, was all hushed up this time. With one hand clutching me and the other clinging to Guqing Han, she moved forward like her life depended on it. Must be the natural-born cheat code of snakes. Here, I can sniff out that within a 2-3 kilometers radius there are 3 sketchy-ass energy signatures that make me uneasy, so it's not like danger is lurking around every corner yet. Turning my head and seeing the battle-hungry look in Guqing Han's eyes, I chilled out a bit. A sharp rustle suddenly broke the silence. Seeing me fixate on one spot and let out a low hiss, Guqing Han was already moving. Her wrist flicked and her trusty spear propped nearby, flashed with a wicked gleam, the spear tip aimed dead on at a bush next to them. The next second, a 40-centimeter striped spider beast came absolutely flying out of the bush, leaping towards us. My body locked up like a freeze frame. Su Niangshi's scream pierced the air. Before I could even react, an alloy spear became a blur so fast it left a sonic boom in its wake. All that was heard was a crunch, and the giant spider, which was ready to devour us whole, had just met its maker courtesy of Guqinghan's spear. The entire process was flawless, like she'd done it 1,000 times. Only now did I truly believe Guqinghan was straight up a reincarnated empress. Her absolute calm was not normal for a high schooler, period. I discreetly slithered towards the corpse of the black-striped wolf spider. My snake senses tingled, telling me this black-striped wolf spider is exactly what I need. Without hesitation, I opened my mouth and took a big chomp out of a spider leg. Seriously? Chicken, again. The system notification popped up. Congratulations, host, you have consumed the demonic black-striped wolf spider, gained 0.08 chi in blood points, and received 0.1 evolution points. My snake heart was doing backflips. Just one leg gave me 0.1 farn. If I scarf down all these legs, I'll have enough evolution points for the next level up. Munch. All 8 spider legs got goblet. The system chimed again. Congratulations, host, you meet the conditions for your second evolution. Initiate? Let's go. Immediately, an intense heat pulsed through my entire body, and my blood felt like it was boiling. As a cold-blooded beast, I thought my body was going to pop. Su Niangshi reached for me again, but as soon as her fingers touched my skin, she let out a surprised cry and snatched her hand back. Whoa, it's scorching. What's up with Little White? Did it get poisoned? Guqinghan just narrowed her eyes. She cut Su Niangshi off, who was about to try and grab me again. Little White ate the spider legs. It's not poison. It's evolving. As she said that, I was already coiling up non-stop. As I wriggled, a sheer layer of old snake scales began to peel off. The more intense the wriggling, the more old skin sloughed off. A few minutes later, the all-encompassing fiery feeling started chilling out. Until it was completely gone, I let out a relieved hiss. Evolution cost 1 evolution point. Congrats, host. Second evolution achieved. Enduring all that pain was totally worth it, though. Breaking past my chi and blood limits means I can keep chowing down to evolve. Let's keep moving deeper inside. This training session is only 4 hours long in first place. That's mine, no doubt about it. Was it all for that blood chi pill? As the spirit beast and its master's power continuously grew, the true effects of their initial spirit contract finally started to show themselves. I could faintly sense Guqinghan's thoughts. And the scent that was vague before? This time I could sniff out the monster's exact locations. This was yet another change brought about by my second mutation. My physical senses had been significantly jacked up. Guqinghan and Su Nianshi followed close behind me. Battles soon broke out frequently in this not-so-dense forest. Guqinghan was frantically harvesting low-level mutated beasts. Su Nianshi followed behind Guyu. After devouring a black-furred blood-eyed rabbit, I used my evolution points to upgrade my evolution tree branch, enhancing my digestion. But before I could even continue my feast, an announcement boomed from above. The practical combat class was over. Over half an hour later, the 2 girls brought me back to the center. Spotting the 2 girls enter, Huang Shihu immediately rushed over. Qinghan, I got 177 points. The highest anyone else got was only 45 points. Pretty amazing, huh? Huang Shihu said, his eyes full of both self-satisfaction and anticipation. Clearly, this guy just wanted Guqinghan's praise and adoration. However, Guqinghan couldn't care less about any of that. Hearing 177, she subtly exhaled, then coldly hummed in acknowledgement before going to submit her own combat video. Su Niangshi shot Huang Shihu a side-eye. Seriously? Bragging about those points when your daddy bought you a high-tier spirit beast just to get them? Hearing Su Niangshi's words, Huang Shihu instantly looked a bit deflated. Even if I did rely on my dad to get these points, they're still the highest in the class. Su Niangshi scoffed, only you would be so confident about that. If young Master Huang is so confident, how about we make a little bet? If you're the highest scorer, I'll give you 1 blood chi pill plus 2 mixed blood pills for your spirit beast. As soon as she finished speaking, Huang Shihu burst out laughing. The only ones left in class who haven't submitted their videos are you and Qinghan. That white spirit snake Guqinghan contracted, clearly no match. And you, even if your strength isn't bad, how could a petite girl like you possibly be stronger than my Fire Sect Village Blazing Lion? I'll bet you this, if you lose, you have to give me Qinghan's social media account. Huang Shihu was oozing confidence, a smug smile reappearing on the corner of his lips. However, the very next second, the homeroom teacher's voice rang out. Guqinghan, 234 points. Everyone's eyes immediately shot towards the homeroom teacher. Huang Shihu's confident smile, which had been plastered on his face just moments ago, instantly froze solid. Sunjae scoffed, then extended her hand right in front of Huang Shihu. Young Master Huang, time to admit your loss. You just agreed to this bet in front of everyone. Surely you're not planning to go back on your word now, are you? Huang Shihu's expression gradually became stiff and twisted. Instinctively, Huang Shihu was about to retort, but when he turned his head, he met the gazes of the entire class staring at him. Don't worry, he forced out, it's just a few pills. I'm not so petty as to go back on a bet I agreed to. After that, Huang Shihu took out the pills and practically tossed them to Su Nianshi. There, we're even. Gotta say, young Master Huang really was generous. Pills worth 4,000 credits, just handed over like nothing. Su Niangshi then handed the blood chi pill in her hand straight to Guqinghan. She unzips Guqinghan's backpack and dangles a mixed blood pill right in front of me. Little Bai, look what Big Sis got for ya. Our boy's always been super sensitive to smells. The moment that zipper opened, a fresh, irresistible scent hit me, making me completely lose my marbles. Without a second thought, I just opened my mouth and chugged the dark red pill right out of Su Niangxi's hand. Wait, your blood chi is too low. You can't eat that blood fusion pill. Gu Qinghan hadn't even finished her sentence, and I'd already gulped it down. The next second, an indescribable, intense swelling sensation hit me like a truck. Congratulations, host. You have consumed the mixed blood pill, gaining 28 blood chi points and 12 evolution points. My blood chi skyrocketed in an instant, feeling like it was going to make my entire body explode. In a flash, I knew if I didn't do something, this medicinal power was going to blow me to smithereens. Use evolution points. Continue activating the Digestion Enhancement Evolution Branch, deducting 5 evolution points. The Digestion Enhancement Evolution Branch has leveled up. Once Digestion Enhancement hit level 3, the rampaging medicinal power in my body was instantly brought under control. Seeing my pained expression, Su Niangxi started apologizing profusely. Meanwhile, Gu Qinghan standing next to her looked a bit bewildered. He was clearly in excruciating pain, but just 2 or 3 seconds later, it all vanished into thin air. And what's more, he even looked happy now. The residual effects of the mixed blood pill, all absorbed by this little guy. Even Gu Qinghan, who'd lived through countless experiences in her past life, couldn't help but be utterly astonished right now. The white spirit snake she'd accidentally picked up was clearly not as simple as it appeared. Intelligent, gluttonous, and already mutated twice. He could even swallow a mixed blood pill when his blood chi was at a dangerously low level. Thinking of this, Gu Qinghan turned to the staff, requested some low-level beast scraps, stuffed Su Niangxi's spatial ring full, and only then did the two of them leave satisfied. The lingering medicinal power from the mixed blood pill knocked me out cold for nearly an hour. When I finally woke up, I was already home. I opened my eyes to see Gu Qinghan sitting cross-legged on the bed, cultivating and absorbing spirit chi. First-grade martial artist. Success. Dang, I didn't expect Gu Qinghan's strength to surge so fast. While everyone else in class was still stuck at the apprentice stage, she had already successfully entered the martial artist realm. My own blood chi had only just hit 29.7, and I still needed 100 points for the third evolution. Gotta keep chowing down to level up. So I decisively opened my mouth towards Gu Qinghan. Hungry again already? That fast? Gu Qinghan raised a hand to wipe the sweat from her forehead. Then she lightly flipped her hand, and her spatial ring glowed. A fist-sized beast paw appeared before me. After digestion enhancement reached level 3, my appetite had increased significantly. That beast paw, which looked like it weighed a whole kilo, was gulped down by me in a single bite. Congratulations, host. You have consumed the tricolor Dangshi, gaining 2.7 blood chi points and 0.6 evolution points. 2.7 blood chi points was absolutely not a small amount. It was equivalent to my entire food intake for a day before. But even then, my stomach still felt empty. I still wanted more. Gu Qinghan sensed the desperate hunger I was radiating and couldn't help but frown. Then, with renewed interest, she pulled out an even larger piece of beast meat from her spatial ring. Without hesitation, I opened my mouth and devoured the entire hunk of beast meat. Congratulations, host. You have consumed the Hunyan Gui, gaining 3.4 blood chi points and 0.9 evolution points. Congratulations, host. You have unlocked an unactivated evolution branch. Eye Armor Defense New Evolution Branch. This sudden development made my heart soar with joy. At such a critical moment, having a life-saving ability like this, I won't hold back on evolution points. System, dump points into it. After activating Eye Armor Defense, there was no immediate sensation, just a tingling feeling spreading beneath my scales. Slowly but surely, this wild feeling started to wash over my entire body. A faint yet potent stream of energy pulsed relentlessly across my skin. Any incoming attacks that managed to pierce my scales, they'd just get absorbed by this energy. 10 days later, my status screen was totally different, and at this rate, my blood chi would hit the 3rd evolution threshold any damn day now. Right after that, Gu Qinghan snagged her rank 1 martial artist badge. But hold up, she wasn't celebrating, she was stressed. Sure, rank 1 martial artists get 1,000 alliance coins and a blood chi pill stipend every month, but the cultivation resources needed just skyrocket from here. To keep that blood chi growth pumping, she'd need a pill every 3 days minimum just to maintain. But that's just a band-aid. The only way to truly fund her cultivation was to hit the wilderness and hunt some mutant beasts. And the wilderness? That's just the monster-infested lands left behind after the big disaster. Sure, some folks made a killing out in the wilderness, but everyone knows high rewards mean high risks. Mostly you just hear rumors about some martial artist getting clapped out there. If you could level up to a beast soldier, that'd be sick. Then I could take the beast tamer exam and get even more income every month. Gu Qinghan just stared at me, muttering to herself. And just like that, following my 3 meals a day rhythm, I went on another insane munching spree. Soon my blood chi once again hit the limit for my current level. Congratulations, host, you've devoured the mutant beetle. You've gained 2.4 blood chi points and 0.5 evolution points. 3rd evolution unlocked. Starting the evolution immediately, the burning sensation this time was even more brutal than before. My white scales felt like they were on fire and angry red streaks started to appear. My consciousness started to get fuzzy. Just as I thought I couldn't take it anymore, Gu Qinghan noticed something was off with me. 3 mutations. How is that possible? Even though Gu Qinghan reached the Earth realm in her past life and had seen some wild stuff, mutant beasts that completed 3 mutations were literally hand-counted. And without exception, every single one of them was an Emperor-tier beast. But even with that shock coursing through her, Gu Qinghan kept her cool. With a quick flip of her hand, a mixed blood elixir appeared in her palm. Before I could even blink, no questions asked, she shoved that mixed blood elixir right into my mouth. The moment that elixir hit my tongue, that exploding blood chi feeling came roaring back, but then the intense burning started to recede. Everything quickly returned to a manageable level. A few minutes later, the system notification pinged again. Congratulations, host, you've devoured the mixed blood elixir. You've gained 20 blood chi points and 8 evolution points. Congratulations, host, you've successfully completed your 3rd evolution. Staring at the 2-meter-long white snake with razor-sharp eyes before her, Guqinghan's jaw literally dropped. Already a beast soldier, just like that? Your growth speed is seriously on par with mine. Guqinghan's mood was a chaotic mess right then. In her past life, she'd grinded the beast-taming path for 20 years, only to end up in an epic fail. This life, she'd gone all in on the blood chi martial arts path from the start, never expecting the random white snake she picked up would bring her such a massive shock. Guqing even entertained the thought of revisiting beast taming, but she immediately shut that idea down, shaking her head with a wry smile. Focusing on blood chi martial arts, she could still achieve great heights, but for a spirit beast to become an emperor-tier divine beast, that's unbelievably rare. The white spirit snake's bloodline already has a cap, but just being a beast soldier is more than enough for me to pass the beast tamer exam. A thought struck Guqinghan, her eyes lighting up. She decided to dual cultivate both blood chi martial arts and beast taming. After the paperwork was done, the duo, led by a staff member, arrived at the live combat zone. The instant we stepped into the forest, I could tell the scent in the air had changed. 4 distinct beast soldier level auras, converging from 4 different directions, put an indescribable, crushing pressure on me. Xiaobai, just give it a shot, don't push yourself too hard, Guqinghan said, gently placing a hand on my head. She vaguely remembered from her past life that she'd taken the beast tamer exam 4 times, and every mutant beast dumped in here came straight from the wilderness. So I shot straight towards the weakest aura of the 4. I slithered to a patch of low bushes where an overpowering stench immediately hit me. Just as I was trying to pinpoint their exact location, the very next second, a scorpion stinger lunged straight for my head. The speed was so blazing fast, I almost didn't react, only managing to recoil on instinct. Luckily for me, I barely dodged that stab. And that's when I got a clear look at my opponent this time. A scorpion, over 50 centimeters long, pitch black all over, with a pair of massive claws and a wicked, curved, dark red stinger. Damn it, not the poison scorpion king. This unit ain't easy. Not only does it have insane defense, but that poison stinger on its tail is super malicious. For any beast soldier, one sting is instant death or a crippling injury. The supervisor, seeing our boy and the scorpion locked in a stalemate, immediately urged Guqinghan to swap out her spirit beast for another opponent. But deep down, I knew this scorpion's attack pattern. Choosing another opponent would probably be even tougher. Plus, its speed is garbage tier slow, and every time it uses its stinger, it needs time to charge up before it can strike again. After a brief standoff, our boy had already pinpointed its weakness. So I suddenly exploded with speed, my long body rocketing straight towards the poison scorpion king. Seeing this, the poison scorpion king tried to stab me with its stinger once more. Luckily, this time I was ready. My body twisted, barely dodging the stinger, then my speed absolutely exploded, mouth wide open like I was about to swallow this dude whole. The poison scorpion king saw its stinger miss and immediately lunged with its massive claws. But in the very next second, my tail whipped out like a steel rod, slamming into the scorpion king's side. Caught completely off guard, its body was sent absolutely flying. The poison scorpion king tried to flip over to resume its attack, but I was faster, already coiling tightly around it. My 120 plus points of chi blood continuously unleashed its power. The cracking sound of the poison scorpion king's shell grew louder and louder. From the moment we faced off until the battle ended, it was over in mere seconds. Such a swift and brutal beatdown left the supervisor absolutely speechless. Your white spirit snake seems a little too smart, the supervisor mumbled. After confirming the poison scorpion king was completely dead, I opened my mouth and chowed down on one of its claws. Congratulations, host. You've devoured a beast-level poison scorpion king. You gained 5.4 chi blood points and 1.2 evolution points. Congratulations, host. You've unlocked an unactivated evolution branch. Toxin. It really worked, huh? Devouring creatures with special attributes will indeed grant new evolution branches. The entire battle was handled by me solo. From start to finish, Guqinghan didn't even lift a finger. The exam? Naturally, it was a pass. After I finished chowching down on the rest of the poison scorpion king, Guqinghan smoothly obtained her beginner beast tamer certificate. The employee looked me up and down, then turned to ask Guqinghan if she would sell this white spirit snake. He was willing to pay 50 alliance coins. Hearing that number, my little snake heart couldn't help but tremble. Damn, am I really worth that much already? Back then, my price was only 9.9 yuan, and I even came with a free freaking bag. In just 2 weeks, my value had shot up 5,000 times. Talk about a glow-up. However, Guqinghan's face remained stone cold. She flatly shook her head, but the employee clearly wanted to keep pushing. Guqinghan waved me over, little white, let's head out. What surprised me was how Guqinghan didn't hesitate for a second, even when faced with 50,000 alliance coins, almost as if she sensed what I was thinking. Guqinghan turned her head and looked at me, even though 50,000 is a seriously high price, enough for me to fund my cultivation from a level 1 to a level 2 martial artist. But you are my spirit beast after all, and I've never had the habit of selling my battle companions. The following days were back to the grind, repetitive cultivation. After leveling up to a martial artist, the cultivation resources Guqinghan needed only increased, and the number of items she was getting couldn't keep up with the rate of consumption. Finally, after a month of intense training, Guqinghan decided it was time to take me to the wilderness. By this point, my chi blood had already soared past 500. Carrying all the necessary weapons and gear, Guqinghan then tucked me into her spirit beast pouch. After bidding her parents farewell, our girl hopped on a train headed straight for the wilds. The destination of this epic journey? Warrior Town number 72. See, this spot just got swept clean of high-tier spirit beasts, making it the perfect grind location for us. But let's be real, the biggest threat in the wilderness usually ain't the beasts, it's your fellow man. Kill, rob, settle old scores, make new ones die out here, and they'll just say a beast got ya. No one cares, no one investigates. After clearing all the entry procedures, Guqinghan slowly vanished onto the plains outside Warrior Town. Once Warrior Town was just a blurry speck behind us, Guqinghan finally pulled me out of her spirit beast bag. Our hunting grounds are only within a 100-kilometer radius of the town, she said. Now it's your turn to shine. With just a subtle smirk, I instantly picked up on the faint scent swirling in the air. After a quick mental calculation, I sprung into action. Guqinghan was right on my tail. A girl and her snake journeying side by side. We'd barely gone a kilometer when a massive lizard, over 1.5 meters long, popped up right in front of us. Guqinghan filled me in. This was an early-stage beast soldier iron-armored lizard, boasting roughly 300 chi blood. Its scales? Perfect for crafting Tier 1 defensive gear. Estimated value, roughly 2,000 cash. The words were barely out of her mouth when Guqinghan, long spear in hand, charged straight for the lizard's flank. Meanwhile, I reared up, letting out a barrage of hisses, baiting the already scatterbrained iron-armored lizard's attention. The second Guqinghan closed in within 10 meters, I lunged, applying that final, crucial pressure to the iron-armored lizard. The very next second, the alloy spear in Guqinghan's hand swept across, its tip gleaming with a cold light, instantly piercing the iron-armored lizard's sole weak spot, the soft flesh on its foreleg. The iron-armored lizard roared, frantically trying to retaliate, but after stumbling a few meters, its massive body crashed to the ground. A mere 10 seconds later, it was completely lifeless. A cool 2,000 alliance coins secured. Guqinghan stored the iron-armored lizard shell in her spatial ring, then we moved on, heading in a new direction. Soon after, we stumbled upon a massive scythe mantis, valued at 1,400 alliance coins. Then a Bai Shui Wugong raking in 3,200 alliance coins. Just like that, by morning, they'd already raked in 666 alliance coins from spirit beast materials. If things kept going this way, today's haul of materials would be even more massive. Even the usually calm and collected Guqinghan couldn't help but crack a smile. And why was it so smooth? Mostly thanks to my OP ability to sniff out spirit beast strength and location. Still, no matter how good the grind, we had to be back in Warrior Town before sundown. Nighttime beasts, they hit different, way more feral. After devouring the last bite of the white-striped leopard, the system screen popped up again. Congratulations, hoes. You've devoured a beast soldier white-striped leopard. Gained 6.2 chi blood points, gained 1.3 evolution points. Time to dump these points into my stats. And after a quick stat dump session, my attribute panel was completely transformed. The energy currents flowing beneath my scales were now visibly denser and more defined. Spirit beasts of the same cultivation level, they'd be hard-pressed to even scratch me now. And my Tier 2 toxin? Even more broken. It forces poison status and guaranteed HP drain no matter the target's strength. In other words, it's defense-piercing. Even a beast god would bleed if I sunk my fangs into them. The real question is, how much HP drains, and will they even get to counterattack after that? Something to ponder for later, I guess. No rest for the weary, we kept pushing through the afternoon. But our luck had definitely run out compared to the morning. The entire afternoon, besides a single iron-armored lizard, we bagged absolutely nothing. With the sun starting to set, we reluctantly made our way back to Warrior Town. After offloading all the beast materials we'd collected today, we cashed out a cool 8,400 alliance coins. Guqinghan immediately spent it on 3 chi blood pills and 2 mixed blood pills. Then, she dropped some more on our lodging for the night. Just like that, our entire day's earnings were gone. An entire day of grinding, and it all evaporated in literally 10 minutes. But after chugging down 2 of those mixed blood pills, I was back to 100% in an instant. And let me tell ya, that sleep hit different. Another 7 days just flew by, each one a carbon copy of the first. Morning, our boys out of the city hunting down variant beasts. Sunset, it's back to the cultivator's outpost. Almost every day, income was clocking in at 8,000 to 10,000 alliance coins. Guqinghan had already stacked over 20 blood pills, enough for her to cultivate for a solid 2 months. The martial Dao exam is just 2 weeks out, a few more days in the wasteland, then it's back to when she to prep hard. Guqinghan muttered to herself as she grilled some meat. But the very next second I shot up, my usually lazy gaze now sharp with warning, locked on something nearby. Guqinghan followed my gaze, faintly spotting a vehicle speeding toward us from the distance. Not long after, a sharp screech of tires pierced the air. A black off-road vehicle, kicking up a storm of dust, screeched to a halt right in front of Guqinghan and me. 5 dudes, all tatted up and rocking bleached blonde hair, piled out of the vehicle. The leader, a true paragon of style, sported a white tank top and camo pants. In his hand, a long, thin saber gleamed. And let me tell you, the powerful chi and blood aura radiating from these 5 guys? Not exactly friendly. One look and you knew these fellas meant business, the bad kind. Little sis, what are you doing all alone out here? And look, you even brought a white spirit fox along. Don't you know this is the wasteland? It's super dangerous out here, you know. The blonde leader dude checked Gu Qinghan out from head to toe, a smirk spreading across his face. How about big bro here protects you, huh? Gu Qinghan's face darkened, her brows subtly furrowing. Sirs, I have family matters. I'm just heading back for supplies and will be right back. Don't trouble yourselves. A beautiful girl like you, why would you lie? This early in the morning, going back for supplies? And where's your supplier? Why aren't they with you? Leaving you all alone out here. Lying isn't a good look, little sis. Little sis, the leader drawled, his saber already unsheathed and pointed directly at Gu Qinghan. It's time to punish you for lying to someone who truly wanted to help you. Hand over that spatial ring, now. Gu Qinghan frowned, a storm brewing inside her. But before she could even twitch, a crushing wave of chi and blood suppression suddenly slammed down on us. In that instant, I felt like a literal mountain was pressing down on me, my movements becoming sluggish and heavy. Little sis, just be a good girl and hand over the spatial ring. Big bro here only wants the cash. Your haul these past few days might not be a mountain, but it ain't nothing either. All of Gu Qinghan's alliance coins had been swapped for blood pills. If she handed over the spatial ring now, it'd be like throwing away 8 days of grinding. Gu Qinghan was not having that. Seeing Guhan stay frozen, the blonde leader nodded to his goons, who instantly drew their sabers and pressed them right against me. I don't mind letting you see some blood, but a pretty little thing like you, I just can't bring myself to touch. So I guess we'll just have to mess with your spirit beast instead. In this dire moment, I furiously pulled up my stat panel, immediately upgrading my defensive scale armor to level 3. Level 3 defensive scale armor might buy me a second, but against such an absolute power disparity, it felt utterly useless. After a quick 3 count, the leader flicked his chin at his subordinate. The long saber previously against my neck was instantly raised high, then rapidly brought down. Don't. In this absolute hair-trigger moment, Gu Qinghan finally capitulated. Those 5 clearly weren't just after the spatial ring anymore. After offing me, they wouldn't let Gu Qinghan's ring go either. If that's the case, what's the point of playing tough? Gu Qinghan pulled off her spatial ring and tossed it toward the thugs. Wouldn't it have been better to do that earlier? The blonde leader, looking mighty smug, grabbed the spatial ring to inspect it. But mere seconds later, that smug grin melted right off his face. He stared back at Gu Qinghan. Little sis, don't mess with me. There are only 20 blood pills in here. You think I'm some kind of anine? For Gu Qinghan, 20 blood vitality pills were already a huge sum. But for this group of martial artists who'd been roughing it in the wasteland for ages, it clearly wasn't enough to satisfy their greedy appetites. There are 5 of us, little girl. How much will 20 blood vitality pills even be per person? Hand over everything you have, now. Gu Qinghan felt helpless, explaining that she hadn't been in the wasted land long, and this was her entire fortune, but the blonde dude clearly didn't buy it. Still trying to fool me, huh? You can afford a second-stage mutated white spirit serpent as a spirit beast, but you only have 20 blood vitality pills on you? If you don't hand it over yourself, then I'll just have to search you personally. As his machete slid back into its sheath, that sinister smirk reappeared on the blonde leader's face. My girl Gu Qinghan's tightly furrowed brows suddenly relaxed, then she stomped her foot. The long spear, previously stuck in the ground, instantly flew into her grip, while at the same time, I opened my jaws wide and lunged for the ankle of the dude standing closest to me. But clearly, these chumps had been wary of me and Gu Qinghan for a while now. My sneak attack was dodged, and a long alloy saber came swinging straight for my head. I wasn't brave enough to bet on my peak Tier 3 defense blocking that hit, so I could only retreat and look for another opening. On the other side, Gu Qinghan was also struggling. She'd initially planned to go for the head, catch the bandit, catch the king. But no matter how exquisite Gu Qinghan's techniques were, facing an absolute disparity in cultivation was like scratching an itch for these guys. In no time, she was forced back to my side. Whoa, didn't expect this little girl to be quite so spirited. But that's even better. The wilder the horse, the more fun it is to tame. Someone go chop up that snake. Leave this little girl to me. The rest of you, line up and wait for your turn to get your fill. After she's played with us, you guys can go kill that beast general. These utterly humiliating words spewed from the blonde dude's mouth. But Gu Qinghan seemed not to hear them, instead lowering her head to look at me. They're coming for us. Soon I'll do my best to hold all 5 of them back. Run as far as you can, okay? After I die, the spirit bond will automatically dissolve. From now on, you'll be free, little one. At a time like this, do you really have to say things like that? I sighed helplessly. How long could Gu Qinghan even last? But one thing was for sure, once these guys finished off Gu Qinghan, my chances of escape were slim to none. If that's the case, why not go all out for one last hurrah? Dragging one of them down with me would be breaking even. Dragging 2? That's a massive profit. My eyes scanned the 4 remaining goons, constantly analyzing the situation, watching them close in, relentless. The fight could erupt at any second, but just then a vehicle came roaring into view from the distance. Bro, why are there so many party poopers? In less than half a minute, the new off-road vehicle had pulled up right in front of everyone. Then the passenger side window slowly rolled down. A girl no more than 2 years older than Gu Qinghan revealed her face, and just one look sent immense pressure washing over me. Another third-rank martial artist. The faces of the 5 blonde goons immediately stiffened. It's just a beast general, how did it manage to lure her here? Alright, let's bail, bros. We need to rush to our target location before someone else gets there first. Clearly, this sudden appearance had completely messed up the blonde crew's original plan. Seeing the 5 of them about to leave, I couldn't help but secretly breathe a sigh of relief, but Gu Qinghan didn't seem to share my sentiment. Senior Sister Zhang, wait a moment. As Gu Changzhen's voice rang out, the off-road vehicle which was about to leave slammed on its brakes. The passenger door swung open and a girl in tight-fitting black clothes, with 2 short blades strapped to her waist, stepped out of the vehicle. Accompanying her was a man in silver protective gear, with short hair, powerful limbs, and a serious expression. This absolute unit was all man. The woman said nothing, her eyes sweeping over everyone present, then settling on Gu Qinghan with a puzzled look. Do you know me? An invisible pressure radiated. This woman wasn't just a third-rank martial artist. Her blood-chi fluctuations were the strongest among everyone there. Gu Qinghan introduced herself as the daughter of Master Gu Zian from the Shumu Veterinary Academy, claiming she'd previously met Senior Sister Jiang and Senior Brother Zhao on the Shumu campus. Aren't both your parents just normies? Other than the name, this entire statement was pure fiction, a whole lie. But those two didn't seem to think much of it. Senior Sister pondered for a moment, then nodded. So it's Junior Sister Gu, is that really okay? I couldn't help but be dumbfounded. To my utter shock, this girl actually believed the words, even the 5 blonde goons bought it, to humiliate the daughter of a Shumu Academy master in Huayuan. If that old geezer ever found out, they'd be hounded relentlessly. The 5 looked at each other, quietly retreating towards their off-road vehicle, but their footsteps couldn't escape the keen ears present. It was long rumored that Senior Brother Zhao Liang and Senior Sister Zhonglan of the Blood-Chi Martial Arts Academy were righteous, hating any injustice. These 5 stole my spatial ring. I hope Senior Brother Zhao and Senior Sister Jiang, for the sake of our camaraderie, will help me get my stuff back. The moment this line dropped, the 5 immediately panicked, instantly refuting that Gu Qinghan had given it to them willingly. She gave it to us, we didn't steal anything. If you took Junior Sister's things, then return them. Zhonglan, how can we return something we didn't even take? Is everything just true because you Shumu students say it is? Are you just trying to extort us with some random excuse? The blonde leader wanted to argue a few more lines, but before he could finish, Zhonglan's hand rested on her broadsword. Shumu students aren't as bad as you people, and not everyone can just ask for things. If you're not willing to hand it over, then let's see if you can keep this spatial ring. The moment this line was uttered, the 5 blonde dudes immediately looked like they'd seen a ghost. Zhonglan, don't push it too far. At worst, we'll fight. You won't gain anything. But you need to think carefully. Is it worth ruining your upcoming business for just one spatial ring? The blonde leader wanted to say more. But Zhonglan's 2 broadswords were already drawn. Zhao Liang beside her also flipped his hand, unsheathing a valuable alloy long saber. Seeing the opponents draw weapons, the blonde leader fell silent for 2 seconds, then, utterly unwilling, he tossed the spatial ring to Gu Qinghan. The grudge from today, I, Huang Yi, will remember. Just you wait. With that, he turned and got into the car, driving away. After confirming the 5 were far away, Gu Qinghan turned, clasping her hands to Zhonglan and Zhao Liang. Many thanks, Senior Sister Jiang and Senior Brother Zhao, for your righteous assistance. Otherwise, today's matter would have been difficult to resolve. Afterwards, Gu Qinghan learned from Zhonglan that Warrior Town 72 had just undergone a major purge, and there was still a heavily injured early-stage Lord-Tier exotic beast in hiding. This beast was currently extremely weak, its strength less than a tenth of its original, at most reaching the level of a beast general. Items reaching the beast general tier are worth at least tens of thousands, possibly even hundreds of thousands. An early-stage Lord-Tier beast? All its materials combined could be worth over 1 million, which is why it attracted so many warrior squads here. Gu Qinghan's eyes lit up, just about to suggest joining Zhonglan and Zhao Liang, but Zhonglan raised a hand to stop her. Clearly, the other party felt that a mid-stage, first-rank martial artist like Gu Qinghan was completely deadweight, but Gu Qinghan clearly didn't think so. This Lord-level beast has awakened its spiritual intelligence, and it's not some low IQ scrub either. It knows its spot's been blown, so it's definitely dipping to a safer zone. Linwu Ancient City number 41 isn't huge, but it's still over 20 kilometers in diameter. Senior Sister Jiang, can you even guarantee we'll snag this early-stage lord before other warrior squads get to it? My spirit beast can sniff out monster scents, tell how strong they are, and even pinpoint their exact location. Jianglan and Zhao Liang, totally hooked by Gu Qinghan's flex, couldn't help but turn their heads to look at her. Hold up, Junior Sister Gu, you gotta know this. Even if we drag you along, you're getting 0 cut of the spoils. The rule here in Huayuan is, spoils are divided by combat contribution. And let's be real, your combat power and that little white spirit snake are extremely limited. Not only can you not throw hands, but we'd also be totally distracted trying to babysit you. Senior Sister Jiang, chill, I obviously know the rules. I just want to tag along and open my eyes a bit, you know? Seriously, no hidden agenda. Gu Qinghan looked super sincere, but her unusual recklessness made our boy think something was definitely off. But Jianglan wasn't fazed. Alright, if that's the case, let's roll out. But a few things gotta be said first. Zhao Liang and I aren't weak, but we are still going up against a lord-level beast after all. If anything goes sideways, the consequences are on you. And just like that, this makeshift squad of 3 cultivators and 1 snake was formed, heading deeper into the desolate wilderness. Linwu Ancient City number 41 was their target. This place used to be a bustling heavy industrial zone, but then a massive calamity hit, leaving nothing but desolate ruins. When they got within 10 kilometers of the central zone, they decided to ditch their ride and go on foot. Gotta avoid beating the grass to startle the snake and letting other warrior squads catch wind of them. Guqinghan raised her hand and summoned our boy from her spatial ring. Little White, she said, see if you can sniff anything out. The vibe in the air here is way different from outside the warrior outpost. Here, I'm picking up monster scents several times stronger and clearer. Plus, the intel from each energy signature is unique, and processing this much data is taking a minute. After 2 silent minutes, our boy ever so slightly shook his head. That little gesture immediately made Zhonglan and Zhaoliang snap their heads over. Whoa, has this white spirit snake's spiritual intelligence seriously reached this level already? A spirit beast this smart? Bro, even in the Beast Tame Academy, that's rare AF. Responding to their gushing, Guqinghan just gave a slight smile. Looks like we gotta head deeper in, she said. And so the trio kept pushing towards the city's core. But 3 grueling hours later, they had basically scoured the whole city, and still, 0 trace of their target. Senior Sister Zhang, are you guys absolutely sure it's even in Linwu Ancient City number 41? Our boy shook his head again, causing Guqinghan to turn and ask, my little white scent detection has never failed before, so what gives? For sure, plenty of warrior squads saw that Lord-level beast lurking around this city early this morning. Zhanglan furrowed her brow, her intense gaze locked onto the map of Linwu Ancient City number 41. This Lord-level beast is seriously injured, so there's no way it'd just retreat. But a ton of warrior squads have already flipped this entire city upside down and still found squat. Unless, Guqinghan and Zhanglan exchanged a look, then boom, they yelled in unison, the caves! Before the big calamity hit, this city's insane mineral wealth was mined for 50 years, leaving behind a labyrinth of caves spacious enough for even a lord-level beast to chill in. The 3 cultivators and their slithery companion quietly dipped out of the central zone, making their way towards the mining sector marked on their map. But the situation inside these caves, way more gnarly than Guqinghan could have ever imagined. They hit 2 caves back to back only to find them both caved in from the original disaster. While it did help them cross off some bad options, it ate up a massive chunk of their time. And along the way, they kept bumping into more and more warrior squads. If they dragged their feet any longer, even more squads would definitely show up. So each person had to trust their gut, pick a cave, and dive 1 kilometer in. If they found zilch, they'd pull out. If all 3 spots came up empty, other squads would definitely find that lord-level beast before them. Then it just means we were never fated to meet this lord-level beast. Zhanglan wasn't one to second-guess herself. She made the call instantly and pointed to a cave on the map. Zhaoliang heard that and immediately picked his own spot on the map too. Junior Sister Gu, you go ahead and pick a spot too. Guqinghan was a little surprised, but our girl didn't even bat an eye. After scanning the map, she picked the cave that was the absolute furthest from their current spot. With that said, the trio started by checking out the caves Zhanglan and Zhaoliang had picked. One spot had 0 traces of monstrous beasts, another had long since collapsed. That left only Guqinghan's choice, the furthest cave. The trio stood at the entrance, staring into the pitch-black maw of the cave. For some reason, our boy felt a surge of panic, an instinct screaming at him to bolt from this place. This was a total 180 compared to all the other caves they'd checked out. Wait, did the real treasure cave actually fall into Guqinghan's hands? Our boy tilted his head slightly to look at Guqinghan, but her face was completely blank, staring into the cave entrance, lost in thought. Who knows what she was cooking up? Let's go. Zhaoliang pulled out a high-intensity flashlight and took the first step into the cave. The rest followed suit. 100 meters, 300 meters, 500 meters. As they delved deeper, our boy suddenly noticed something off, and his body couldn't help but jolt. Though it was faint, our boy was dead sure this powerful surge of blood chi wasn't something a common monstrous beast could emit. Without needing a signal, Guqinghan immediately picked up on his abnormality. So she lowered her voice and looked at the other 2. Xiaobai found something. The moment those words left her lips, Zhanglan and Zhaoliang didn't even bat an eye. Then expressions of pure delight spread across their faces. Initially, Zhanglan and Zhaoliang had only agreed to let Guqinghan tag along because they heard our boy could sniff out a beast's aura. But who would have thought they'd actually find this lord-tier monstrous beast, all thanks to Guqinghan's choice. This clearly wasn't going to be settled according to their original agreement. So, Zhanglan whispered to Guqinghan, let's take down this lord first, we'll sort out the rest once we're back. Guqinghan flipped her hand, pulling out 2 primal chaos pills from her spatial ring and fed them to our boy. Xiaobai, help us find it. Our boy tried his best to suppress his instincts, which were screaming at him to flee this place. Following the intermittent aura, he led the trio deeper inside. As they pressed on, the once faint aura started to become undeniably clearer, until the entire cave was filled with a scent that made our boy's primal instincts scream in fear. A deep growl suddenly echoed, making the trio instantly freeze, even holding their breath. From the sound alone, they could tell that this lord-tier monstrous beast, despite its formidable aura, actually carried a hint of pain and weakness. Zhaoliang, you take point. I'll look for a chance to strike at its wounds. Junior Sister Gu, you just need to provide support from the side and distract it, but absolutely do not engage it head-on. Zhanglan softly instructed, and Guqinghan nodded in acknowledgement before putting our boy into her spirit pouch. The trio groped their way through the cave's darkness for another 200 or 300 meters before their eyes suddenly lit up. Deep underground, they found a massive natural cavern, and what hit their eyes was a wolf-like beast over 4 meters tall, but its back was riddled with dozens of protruding bone spikes. An early-stage lord, the bone-armored Wolf King. The trio couldn't help but hold their breath. For third-rank martial artists to hunt an early-stage lord was already a massive risk, let alone a wolf species naturally skilled in combat. Even Zhanglan and Zhaoliang couldn't help but feel a flicker of anxiety. The only good news was that the beast's wounds were indeed extremely severe. A gash nearly 2 meters long had practically ripped open its entire abdomen, with fresh blood continuously gushing out. The trio silently watched the bone-armored Wolf King licking its wounds, none daring to make a rash move. But just waiting around wasn't going to cut it. The Wolf King was this weakened, and yet no other squad had found their way here yet. Making their move now was the optimal strategy. So Zhanglan immediately signaled Zhaoliang to act. The bone-armored Wolf King seemed to sense something. It raised its head and let out a deep growl towards the cave entrance. Its emerald wolf eyes fixed on them, seemingly warning the trio not to disturb it, but in their eyes it was just screaming, "Is that all you got, fam? Well, since we're caught, no point hiding anymore, right? Time for a quick finish." The moment Zhanglan finished speaking, Zhaoliang burst forward like a damn whirlwind. This third-rank martial artist Qian blood completely erupted, going all out. His gleaming gold long dao flashed high, then came down with a terrifying wind-tearing shriek, aiming straight for the Bone Wolf King's neck. No cap, if I had to block that kind of speed and power, I'd be absolutely shredded. But this Bone Wolf King, it just raised a claw, met the blow, and all we heard was a spark and a clang. After parrying that monstrous hit, Zhao Xun recoiled a good 10 meters, his hand going numb, blade rattling. But here's the kicker. Our boy wasn't scared at all. He looked thrilled. Lan, it's only got the power of an early-stage beast general. As Zhaoliang's voice rang out, I realized Jiang Lan, who was just chilling next to Gu Qinghan, had vanished. The very next second, a flash of red light zipped past the Bone Wolf King, leaving nothing but a fresh trail of blood. That sneak attack made the Bone Wolf King let out a guttural roar of pain. Its sharp claws swung wildly to the side, only to slice through thin air. Zhanglan, having landed her hit, immediately pulled back, giving the Bone Wolf King zero chance to retaliate. Both Zhaoliang and Zhanglan knew this beast. The Bone Wolf King was still a freaking lord-level exotic beast. Even if it was banged up, going head-to-head was a death wish. Their only play was to keep it on the ropes, draining its energy, stretching out the fight. Then Zhaoliang was back in the fray, his gleaming gold long dao slashing out once more. And right alongside him was Zhanglan, dual-wielding her short swords, one attacking head-on, drawing all the aggro, the other flanking, landing sneaky hits to exploit existing wounds. Their teamwork? Straight-up art. Honestly, it was kind of beautiful to watch. 3 successful hits in a row. The Bone Wolf King's barely healed wounds were ripped open yet again. The searing pain made its emerald eyes burn with pure savagery. Another wave of assault, and Zhaoliang was back leading the charge with his dao. Zhanglan followed close behind, but this time the Bone Wolf King completely ignored Zhaoliang, whipping its head around, its fiery red eyes locking onto Zhanglan. The very next second, its massive form, poof, gone! Zhanglan's heart leaped into her throat. She reflexively sprang back and upward, but before her feet could even touch the ground, the Bone Wolf King's massive blood-red maw was already lunging at her. Zhanglan was cornered, no escape. It looked like this was it. Zhaoliang, seeing this, shot forward at maximum speed towards the Bone Wolf King, desperate to intercept the beast's attack before Zhanglan got even a scratch. But how could his speed possibly match the freaking Bone Wolf King's? With the Wolf King's attack closing in, Zhanglan gave up struggling. She crossed her short swords in front of her, ready to brace for the Bone Wolf King's ripping bite. But the very next second, a long spear suddenly came screaming in from the distance. Senior Sister Jiang. Gu Qinghan's voice suddenly echoed through the air. Zhanglan saw the long spear hurtling towards her. Almost without thinking, she shifted her short swords, and another clang of metal rang out. Zhanglan was sent flying back several meters by the sheer force of the spear. Her original spot was now occupied by an alloy spear, and then crack! The supposedly sturdy alloy spear was bitten clean through by the Bone Wolf King, shattering into pieces. Talk about a close call. She barely dodged the Bone Wolf King's attack. It wasn't until she landed that Zhanglan finally caught her breath. The sheer terror after that near miss made her break out in a cold sweat. Even an alloy spear was chewed up that easily? If that bite had connected with her, it would have been GG's, her life ending right here, right now. Gu Qinghan wasn't even in the fight, but her gaze was always locked onto the Bone Wolf King. Thanks to Gu Qinghan's assist, Zhanglan sidestepped the Bone Wolf King's fatal attack, but the danger was far from over. The Wolf King wasn't giving anyone a breather. It whipped its head around, resuming its assault on Zhanglan. This time, Zhanglan found her footing and swiftly retreated as Zhaoliang's attack finally landed. The gleaming alloy long dao, now carrying the force of endless surging waves, slashing horizontally into the six-tusked Gangu Lang Wang, causing its vital energy points to erupt. Even this absolute unit of a Gangu Lang Wang couldn't completely ignore it. So it decisively abandoned Zhanglan, who was still backing away, and turned to face Zhaoliang, who was going all out, raising its wolf claw and slamming it onto the long saber in Zhaoliang's hand. The metallic clang immediately reverberated throughout this underground cave. The powerful eruption of vital energy caused debris to start raining down from the cave ceiling. Zhaoliang quickly retreated, plunging his long saber straight into the ground to dissipate that immense counterforce. Zhanglan also fell back, taking a spot next to Gu Qinghan. Thanks for that, back there. Zhanglan subtly tilted her head, looking at Gu Qinghan, who had narrowly escaped death and was breathing a little heavily. But let's talk about that once we're out. Our girl Gu Qinghan's expression remained chill. That series of attacks just now had completely enraged this beast. The real battle starts now. Just the two of you won't be enough to take it down. Shubai and I need to jump in too, just to distract the Gangu Lang Wang. The rest is up to you and Senior Bro Zhao. Zhonglan and Zhaoliang exchanged glances, then both nodded. Then Zhonglan pulled out an alloy long spear from her spatial ring and handed it to Gu Qinghan. The grade isn't high. Use this for now. Strike fast, win fast. As soon as Zhonglan finished speaking, the three of them, along with Su Ren, stealthily approached the Gangu in the dim light. This time Zhaoliang wasn't holding back. Su Ren also exploded with full power, and Zhonglan became much more cautious. Though the number of attacks decreased, each strike aimed to tear open the wound on the Gangu Wang's belly. Gu Qinghan stood nearby, holding the long spear ready to assist. Every time Zhonglan was about to attack, our girl would try to strike alongside her, helping Zhonglan share the pressure. Faced with the combined assault of the three, the wound on the Gangu Wang's belly continuously tore open, fresh blood gushing out non-stop. If this keeps up, its situation will only get worse. And the Gangu Wang clearly understood this. So it raised its head and let out a long howl. I felt my spirit suddenly seize up, then waves of disorientation washed over me, my body suddenly crawling uncontrollably towards the Gangu Wang. The other three reflexively covered their heads, but their spirits were still inevitably shaken, their bodies immediately falling into a state of temporary paralysis. The Gangu Wang clearly wasn't about to miss this golden opportunity, its blazing red eyes sweeping across the entire scene. The very next second, it lunged towards Zhaoliang and Zhonglan, raising its wolf claw and slamming it down hard. A dull thud echoed as Zhaoliang and Zhonglan were sent flying by the Gangu Wang, their bodies slamming violently into the cave wall. Even standing up was impossible, they were out of the fight. The Gangu Wang's furious red eyes then turned towards Gu Qinghan. But weirdly enough, Gu Qinghan's face not only showed no panic or terror, but her demeanor was incredibly calm, like a true master activating a soul-devouring array. Just then, Gu Qinghan, who had been dazed, suddenly let out a soft cry, and immediately, strong winds erupted throughout the entire cave. The Gangu Wang, which had already raised its claw, instantly became sluggish in its consciousness, its eyes utterly blank. I, who had been disoriented by the Gangu Wang's howl, also suddenly shuddered at this moment and regained my ability to act. However, after unleashing that move, Gu Qinghan seemed completely drained of energy, her body going limp, collapsing to the ground, unable even to stand steadily. Xiaobai. Gu Qinghan's voice rang out. I instantly understood what she meant. My body shot forward several meters, biting into the wound on the Gangu Wang's belly. The toxin was immediately activated to its absolute limit, relentlessly injecting it as if on autopilot. This was a Lord-level demonic beast with insane defensive capabilities. Though I clearly felt the toxin being swept throughout the Gangu Wang's body by its surging chi and blood, the Wolf King still hadn't fallen. Right now, all three of our fighters on the field have lost their combat capability. If I don't seize this one chance, I'm afraid we're all gonna bite the dust right here today. The Gangu Wang about to regain its senses, I gritted my teeth, my body shifting and burrowing inside it. That agonizing pain hit the Bone Wolf King hard, and its furious roars just wouldn't stop. Our boy opened his maw and took a massive bite, then a potent dose of toxin went straight into the Bone Wolf King's vitals. Its outer defenses were ironclad, but surely its insides aren't just as tough, right? Its belly convulsed violently, fresh blood gushed out in torrents, and the Bone Wolf King's roars grew weaker and weaker. Barely 10 seconds later, a heavy thud echoed, and the beast twitched for a bit before going completely still. It worked, and those three put all their hopes on me. It was only now that they finally registered their shock, slowly, hesitantly making their way closer. Suddenly, the Bone Wolf King's massive belly began to convulse. Zhaoliang's saber already in hand immediately tensed up. But just as he was about to strike, he saw our boy literally crawling out from inside. Mouth still clamped onto a suspicious, unidentifiable piece of organ. And despite being absolutely drenched in blood, he somehow exuded an aura of pure triumph. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have successfully devoured an early-stage Lord-level Bone Wolf King. Received 350 chi and blood points. Received 220 evolution points. Congratulations, host. You have unlocked a previously unlit evolution tree branch. Adamantine Bones. Once activated, your entire skeletal structure will gain hardness comparable to a Lord-level beast. Man, this Lord-level loot is no joke. Just one measly piece of organ, and I got 350 chi and blood points, 220 evolution points, and a new evolution tree branch. Such a colossal surge of chi and blood suddenly slammed into me. Right then, I felt the chi and blood inside me surging like a raging tide, threatening to tear my very body apart. This feeling? Exactly like the first time I chugged a mixed blood pill. Bro, even with level 4 enhanced digestion, I'm still feeling the pressure. Welp, no choice. Guess I gotta bump that enhanced digestion up yet another level. Watching our boy literally crawl out of the Bone Wolf King's corpse, the three just stared at each other, then fell into complete dumbfounded silence. Wolf King was dead. Now came the inevitable awkwardness of dividing the spoils. But if it weren't for Gu Qinghan's surprise attack, which created the perfect opening for this spirit beast to burrow inside and finish it off, truth be told, Jianglan and Zliang probably would have already become dinner inside the Bone Wolf King's gut by now. Ultimately, it was Gu Qinghan who broke the tension first, noting, "This place isn't safe to linger. Senior sister Jiang, just collect the Bone Wolf King's corpse for now. We can discuss everything else once we're safely back," she instructed. Hearing Gu Qinghan's pragmatic words, both Jianglan and Zhaoliang let out a silent sigh of relief. Yeah, getting out of this cave was definitely priority number one. Zhonglin said nothing further, simply raising her hand and instantly stowing the Bone Wolf King's massive corpse into her spatial ring. Gu Qinghan then gently scooped our boy up and tucked him into her spirit pouch. The trio finally made their way out of the cave, but barely halfway through they suddenly heard voices ahead. Battle sounds are coming from inside the cave. The Bone Wolf King has to be in here. Move it. Uh-oh.